Mr. Kover.
Okay. Chairman Nelson, Ranking Member Collins, members of the committee, I thank you for the opportunity to come here today to discuss the needs of aging Holocaust survivors and the services that my organization, Self-Help Community Services, provides to them. I'm also honored to follow the testimony of Mr. Rubin and Ms. Barcone because their sensitive and moving portrayal of their experiences is what drives us to do the work that we do. We appreciate the support and the attention to Holocaust survivors by the administration through the initiative recently announced by Vice President Biden and by Congress through S-999. We certainly thank Senator Cardin for his Rush Act, and we thank Senator Nelson and Senator Kirk for their sponsorship of this bill, which would amend the Older Americans Act to provide social service agencies with the resources to provide services that could meet the needs of the aging Holocaust survivors so they can age in place with dignity, comfort, security, and with an improved quality of life. Since its founding in 1936 by emigres fleeing Nazi Germany, Self-Help Community Services has grown into a large health and human services agency serving older adults of all backgrounds. But staying true to its founding mission, Self-Help is the largest provider of comprehensive social services to Holocaust survivors in North America. Over 75 years ago, our founders made a sacred promise to serve as the last surviving relative to victims of Nazi persecution. Today, through an array of services delivered with care and compassion, Self-Help is fulfilling this pledge for over 5,300 survivors in New York City and Long Island. Holocaust survivors are growing older and frailer. The 20-year-old who survived Auschwitz is now 88. She may be coping with the loss of a spouse and has no family to speak of. In addition to the myriad problems that are associated with so-called normal aging, many survivors have numerous physical and psychological problems that are directly attributable to their experiences during the Holocaust. Prolonged periods of starvation, exposure to severe weather conditions with inadequate clothing, and experiencing and witnessing the unspeakable atrocities take a toll on both body and mind. And many of these problems only surface in old age, having been hidden during the working years when survivors struggled and they did make a new life for themselves as productive citizens of this country. Further exacerbating this situation, more than 50% of the survivors living in New York City and survivors elsewhere in this country can be classified as poor or near poor under federal guidelines. Many people are incredulous when they discover that there are an estimated 120,000 or more survivors in the United States, right? And in fact, this is not just a problem for New York City, Los Angeles, and South Florida. We have a map which we will submit following this testimony which indicates population centers throughout the country. Right? It is not just a coastal problem. Right? We've recently, at Self-Help, we've recently issued a report which is included with the written testimony, which analyzes the most recent population data. In New York City metropolitan area alone, there are still 65,000 survivors. And those that we serve range from the youngest, who may be in their late 60s, to the oldest, who are over 100 years of age. 60% of our clients are over 85 years of age. 60%. Okay. The trend that we see today can only really be described as counterintuitive. While the number of Holocaust survivors is diminishing, the number of survivors in need of services increases daily. And a case in point, over the past year at Self-Help, we provided services to over 5,300 survivors, of whom more than 700 came to us for the very first time. They did not need services before then. Okay. Our projections show that the need will only continue to grow as survivors age and experience increased frailty, debilitating conditions, and financial distress. Because the crises experienced by survivors can often be traced back to acute loss, dislocation, and deprivation during the Holocaust, survivors require sensitive intake and assessment of need, and they need painstaking care coordination and case management on an ongoing basis. Self-help professionals are well-versed in the psychological impact of the Holocaust, experts in accessing a wide range of benefits available to survivors. Self-help maintains a separate division of the organization, operating out of 7 community-based service sites focused solely on providing specialized care for this fragile population. To meet the range of physical and psychological issues that survivors have, Self-Help has developed a comprehensive service approach. The key to the service model is the development of a long-standing trusting relationship with the social worker who's responsible for care coordination. The social worker's role is to assess the situation of the Holocaust survivor and implement a plan of care to ensure that the client receives optimal services as well as all the entitlements that they're eligible for. We provide housekeeping and home health care services to enable them to remain home safely. Ongoing social programs such as coffee houses and holiday celebrations enhance social contacts and effectively decrease isolation. Volunteers visit homebound clients to provide companionship and a community connection. For the frailest individuals, we serve as court-appointed legal guardian, which enables them to remain at home despite serious chronic conditions and dementia. And for those in financial need, we're able to provide emergency grants for needed items, such as air conditioners and medical and dental equipment, which are not covered by Medicare or Medicaid. We, like many organizations throughout the United States and the world, are fortunate to receive substantial funding from the Claims Conference. Their successes have enabled the worldwide network that serves survivors to be created. Okay? It has enabled us to expand our services significantly over the past years. We've been able to open new service sites, and that's made our services more accessible. We've been able to provide increased critical home care services. Their support is unprecedented, and it does provide a lifeline for tens of thousands of survivors. We also receive crucial funding from UJA Federation in New York. They play a central role in advancing awareness and support for survivors in the New York community. The need, however, is far greater than what these two organizations can help us provide. The numbers of survivors who require care and the care that they need far exceed the capacity currently that the service providers have. So in closing, we hope that in reauthorizing the Older Americans Act, Congress will also include the provisions of S 999. We also urge support for the White House initiative's four-point plan to help Holocaust survivors. And the United States critically should continue to be a leader in the arena of pressing for survivor compensation from other countries. They should continue their diplomatic efforts, such as the Terrorism Declaration. We should resolve property claims of survivors from Central and Eastern Europe. And we should help with negotiating with France on behalf of the deportees who were transported on the French railway trains. The overarching theme is to enable Holocaust survivors to remain at home in their community with dignity and improved quality of life. Many of the survivors we serve have no family to turn to for support. Self-help is truly their last surviving relative, and we will serve as such for as long as a single Holocaust survivor remains. Thank you.